Hello everyone, I am Ms. Divya Verma, teacher of Social Studies, Class 7, Mount Ritka Z School, Jhansi. So, we are going to talk about lesson number 8 of history, that is devotional paths to the divine. Now, here in this chapter, the devotional paths to the divine, we'll be seeing many topics like major religious ideas and practices that began during the Bhakti era and the Sufi era. So, this is what we are going to see in this chapter, and then we are going to see some features of Bhakti movement and Sufi movement in India, in the medieval India, and the role of Bhakti against the formal religions and the factors which gave birth to Sikhism as a political movement. So, here, if we see in the Vedic era, Hinduism divided humans as per the caste system into so-called upper and lower groups. As we know, the division was initially based on occupation, followed by an individual at that time. Then, later on, society got rigid about it and the distinction was based on birth. Then, Hinduism said that all living things pass through cycles of birth. So, some are born in a higher caste and some are in the lower caste according to their deeds in the past lives. Even some people did not like this idea and left Hinduism to follow a new religion like Buddhism or Jainism. Then some Hindus stood against the caste system and the practice of rituals in Hinduism and gave birth to a new religious movement called Bhakti. So, those who followed Bhakti came from all castes, including those considered untouchables also. Okay, so the philosophy of Bhakti is the Sanskrit word Bhakti comes from the root bhaj, which means divide or share. So, Bhakti is a personal devotion to a single God. It developed as a philosophy in the 7th century in Tamil Nadu, South India, and then spread northwards throughout the areas. Okay, the Bhakti saints rejected all kinds of rituals and discriminations on the basis of their caste. So, some Bhakti saints like Tulsidas, Surdas accepted existing Hindu beliefs and made them accessible to all. There are so many Bhakti saints like Surdas, Tulsidas, Mirabai, Sursagar, and many more saints are there. Okay. Then one more saint is Sant Kabir, whose idols and compositions shaped religious ideologies in northern India in the 17th century. So Bhaktiism became so popular at that time. Bhakti movement developed in South India between 7th to 9th century. Bhakti saints in South India were of two types, Nainars and Alvars. Both composed poems and music in praise of the deities, and the Bhakti saints in South India devoted to Vishnu were Alvars and the one who devoted to Lord Shiva were Nainars. Okay, so these were the South Indian Bhakti saints. Now in North Indian, the Bhakti saints were like Nathapanthis, Siddhas and Yogis who became popular in North India. They renounced the world, they used meditation to attain salvation, they believed in the formless ultimate reality and the oneness of the human soul with it. They preached renunciation of worldly things, self-sacrifice, intense training of the mind and body through yogasanas, breathing exercises and meditations. So this is all about the Bhaktiism. Understood? Now if we talk about the Sufism, Islam is a strictly monotheistic religion which believes in submission to one God and rejects idol worship and preaches collective worship of God. This way, Muslim scholars developed a holy law called Shariat. Some Muslim mystics or saints rejected elaborate rituals and codes of behavior demanded by Muslim religious scholars, and this gave birth to a new religious ideology called Sufism. There are some Sufi saints like Ghazali, Rumi and Sadi which are famous in Sufism. The Sufi saints abandoned rituals of worship and preferred the system of collective prayer. Then Sufism emphasized love and devotion to God and compassion for fellow human beings. Sufis believed that elaborate training was needed under the guidance of the master or the pir. And the method of training were to be zikr, contemplation, sama, rags under the guidance of the master. Now then, to remember the will of God, the practice of repeatedly reciting short praises or prayers silently within the mind or aloud was followed, and this was called as dhikr, D-H-I-K-R. Okay. Then later genealogies of Sufis known as silsilas which emerged, and each had a different method of ritual practice and instructions. There are so many dargahs and the masjids like Khwaja Muin Chishti of Ajmer, Qutub Bakhtiar Kaki of Delhi, Baba Farid of Punjab, and many more Sufi places. Understood? So this is what about Sufi movement is. Now if we talk about the birth of Sikhism, then Guru Nanak was born into a Hindu family in Talwandi, present day Nankana Sahib, Punjab, Pakistan in 1469. Okay? He was drawn towards meditation and spirituality in his childhood itself. Then eventually he travelled far and wide, spreading the holy message of peace and compassion to all of mankind. He spread the concept of the oneness of God who lives in all beings. Then Guru Nanak established the Dera Baba Nanak in Kartarpur, and before his death in 1539, he appointed a follower called Lena, known later as Guru Angad, as his successor. Understood? Then Guru Angad compiled the work of Guru Nanak and added to his own script known as Guru Mukhi. Okay? Then the next three Gurus also wrote under Nanak's name, and their work was compiled by Guru Arjan Dev in 1604. Works of some other Bhakti saints like Sheikh Farid, Sant Kabir, Bhagat Namdev, and Guru Tegh Bahadur were also added to these compilations. Finally, in 1706, Guru Gobind Singh authenticated the compilation and created the holy book of the Sikh, that is the Guru Granth Sahib. Okay. Then Guru Nanak also created a place for worship and meditation called Dharmasal, now known as a Gurudwara. In the 16th century, more and more people, from various castes, predominantly traders, agriculturists, artisans, craftsmen, followed Sikhism, and this led to development of Sikhism as a new religion. Understood? There were some teachings also of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, like God is the Almighty, He is the sustainer and destroyer of the universe. Even Guru Nanak insisted that all living beings are soul and God is the eternal soul. One's action and right conduct would help human meet the eternal soul, that is God. Yes, he preached that irrespective of the former creed, caste or gender, people should eat together in the common kitchen, that is langar. So this is all about the teachings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Now you can go through the chapter from LR as well as NCERT. Try to do the exercises and question answers in the notebook. Thank you.